Have you been feeling a lot of achy, stiff, low back pain from working from home? Have you tried ice and heat and stretching and nothing is really helping too much? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why your low back pain builds up in the first place, and then I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it at home. So gently lean forward to hit that like button and stay tuned. Hello, I'm Dr. Sandy Baird. Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here and you'd like to learn how to move better, how to get out of pain, and how to maintain a healthy, active lifestyle, start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking that bell notification icon so you don't miss a single weekly video. Since the start of the pandemic, many people are working from home under non-ideal ergonomic situations, and low back pain is one of the main musculoskeletal issues that does come out of that. And then not to mention we have this whole other extra layer of stress that the pandemic is blanketing down upon us. And so that can make back pain feel that much more frustrating. Like you may notice it's hard to focus at work, maybe it's keeping you up at night, maybe it's really hard to engage with your family because you're feeling so much frustrating pain. And ice and stretching and heat can get you a little bit of the way there, but they're not going to fully fix your low back pain. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why. There's a certain crossover point, and we'll talk about that later in the video, where low back pain moves from just being a set of tight muscles into something where it's actually entered the cumulative injury cycle. And so at that point, professional services are needed, like chiropractic adjustments or physiotherapy. But if you can catch things early, or at least before they get too far into that cycle, there are ways to treat your low back pain at home. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you my top tips for getting rid of your low back pain so you can get back to playing better, moving better, and working better. There are some important ergonomic changes that you can make to help prevent low back pain, and I'm actually going to address those in a future video. So if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll automatically get a notification for when I drop that video. Also, low back support or lumbar support is very important for helping out with low back pain. And so I'm going to link down in the description box an appropriate support that you can use either in your desk chair or in your car for those days that you know you're going to be sitting for a long period of time. And then finally, I'm going to talk about the professional treatments that are available to help manage your low back pain, especially if it's gone past that home care stage and into the injury cycle where it does need professional treatment. So before we get into the first exercise that you can do for your low back pain, I want to talk for a moment about why we get into this situation in the first place. So primarily, your postural muscles get overworked and overused. When they're constantly contracted, there's not as much oxygen as there needs to be in the area, and under those conditions, free radicals form. Free radicals are sensitive and specific triggers for chemotaxis, and chemotaxis invites these inflammatory cells to rush in. What they do is they throw down collagen cross bridges in an attempt to repair the damage, and basically adhesion as a result as the muscle fibers are glued together. Now I talk more about adhesion, how it builds up, and how it sends us into that chronic injury cycle in another video that I've done. I'm going to link it up here and then down here in the description box, and it's a video about how to fix your neck pain in quarantine. So if you want to learn more about that, you can follow that link. The second thing that happens, and this is specific to sitting, is that our hip flexors become chronically shortened or contracted. So when the hip flexors on the front of the body are held in this contracted position, they actually tell the muscles on the back side of the body to shut off. They tell them, you don't need to do your job, we got it over here, everything's fine. And this is a concept called reciprocal inhibition. Reciprocal inhibition can more easily be visualized with a bicep curl. So when you do a bicep curl, the bicep muscle is contracting and the tricep muscle on the opposite side of the arm is relaxed. If that didn't happen, we would just be in this isometric contraction and we would never actually be able to lift the weight. So imagine if you were lifting a weight, even if it's a 1 pound weight, and you had to hold that for the length of a whole workday. Okay, your biceps would become pretty fried and your triceps would shut off and not do the job that they're supposed to do. So that upper body situation is easy to visualize, but did you know that your hip flexors are constantly contracted throughout the length of a workday, just like the biceps are? So they tell the glute max to shut off. And we get into a situation called dead butt syndrome or gluteal amnesia. And so basically when the glute max is shut off, other muscles in the area are going to try to jump in to do the job that that muscle is supposed to do. So we get some of the postural muscles of the low back jumping in, and we get the external hip rotators jumping in as well. All of a sudden, these muscles are doing more than their share of the work, and they're screaming out for attention. So that's why just stretching your low back muscles isn't going to fully resolve your issue. You need to stretch your low back muscles as well as your hip flexor muscles. And then you also need to strengthen those postural muscles that are prone to jumping in to do those compensations so that they don't fatigue as easily. Okay, so now that you understand what's at the root of your low back pain and what can happen if you don't attend to it early, let's look at my top tips for getting rid of it. So first up, stretching. Stretching does have some benefit. As we mentioned before, it's not going to be the only thing to get rid of your low back pain, but it's definitely one thing in the big picture. So I'm going to show you today 4 of the most important stretches that you can do to help take care of your low back pain. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking for a complete guide with all of these stretches and more, as well as strengtheners, mobility work, and self-myofascial release exercises, you're going to want to head down to the description box so you can download my free guide, and it's going to have this complete system to help you fully get rid of your low back pain. All right, so now I'm going to jump to voiceover to clearly demonstrate some of these exercises. To stretch the right side of your body, take a step back with your right foot, straighten your leg, and bend your body over towards the left, pushing your hip out to the right. For a spinal twist to your right, first of all, you're going to want to scoot your hips just an inch to the left. Straighten your right leg and come into a spinal twist. Once you've found this position, you can slide a pillow or a bolster underneath that top knee, or you can just let it rest against gravity. And then turn your head to look over your left shoulder. You want to hold this for about 30 to 60 seconds before you switch sides. And when you are ready to switch sides, you're going to bump your hips just a little bit over to the right as you straighten your left leg and go into the twist. Turn your head to look over your right shoulder and take a few deep breaths here. To go into a hip flexor stretch, you want to squeeze that right glute so that you're going to feel the most stretch through that right front of your hip. You can have your foot tucked underneath or a flat foot. That doesn't matter too much as long as you're not shifting way forward. So bring it back a little bit, squeeze that right glute one more time, and if you want more of a stretch, you can reach up and over. For the pigeon pose stretch, stretching into the left glute and hip, you're going to step your left foot forward and then bring it as far forward as you can. It may not be perpendicular to the mat, but that's okay. And then you can drop down onto your forearms or elbows if it's comfortable to you. Now, if you feel like your hips are shifted way over to the left like that, let's back up, square things off, even if it means you won't be able to get as deep into the stretch. The figure 4 stretch is another option here. So you cross your right foot over your left knee, and then you reach through behind your left knee and pull that knee up towards your head. So next up, I'm going to show you some mobility or mobilization exercises, and you're going to want to have a foam roller handy for these exercises. You want to have your knee and your foot supported by a foam roller or a large cushion for this exercise. And you're basically opening up and feeling some motion happening through the thoracic spine as well as the lumbar spine. Now, this looks a lot easier than it is, and it's really important that you keep that knee pressing down into the foam roller, because what happens if you don't press that knee down into the foam roller is it's just really easy to go into this twist, right? Nothing's really happening. But if you lock that knee down, you're going to feel a lot more out of this exercise. Start on your hands and knees for the cat-cow exercise. As you inhale on this exercise, you want to drop your belly and look up. And then as you exhale, you want to press not just your mid-back, but your low back up towards the ceiling as well. Go back and forth for about 10 or 15 reps. To mobilize our upper back over the foam roller, you're going to want to start with the foam roller right about in your mid-back, and then you're basically extending over it. But there's an important tip here, and that is as you extend back, you don't want to feel like things are flared up towards the ceiling. Tuck your ribcage down and then go back into it. Also tuck your chin into your chest, and that's going to give you a much more challenging but also a much better experience here. And then move back and forth between this position and neutral for about 15 times. To get started with the lizard movement, you're going to step your left foot forward and then slightly turn it out to the side. From there, you're just going to play in this range. So you can tuck your foot, you can have a flat foot, it doesn't matter too much. But we're just working in and out of this just as deep as feels comfortable. And you can also drop your back knee down if that's more comfortable. The idea is we're just trying to open up the hips here in whatever range feels good. You can also drop down to your forearms if you have that flexibility. So now I'm going to show you 4 of the most important self-myofascial release exercises that you're going to need to do to release that low back pain. And so you're going to need a lacrosse ball or a yoga tune-up ball or something similar. I'll link in the description box where I got these ones. And then also you're going to need a foam roller, and then ideally you're going to want to position yourself against a wall. Place the ball just to the side of the center of your spine. And then you're going to want to walk up to a wall and take a little step away from the wall so that you have enough drive to push yourself back into the wall. So this should feel like some pretty good pressure right away. If it is, go ahead and take a few deep breaths and try to relax into the pressure. But if you've gone back against the wall with the ball there and you're not really feeling anything, you may need to kind of shift your body up and down until you come to a tight spot. And if you want to increase things, you can tilt your body up and over. And that's going to drive more pressure into the ball as you get a bit of stretch on the area. To find your glute medius, first you're going to want to find the top of your hip bone. And then you can roll the ball down off of that hip bone into the meat of the glute medius muscle. So let's go over to the wall. You're going to want to take a little step away from the wall so that you can use that leg that's closest to the camera here to drive your body into the wall against the pressure of the ball. Hold it for 30 to 60 seconds once you find a good spot. The key to using the foam roller to work into your thoracic extensor muscles is to use your heels to drive down into the mat to lift your hips. So cross your arms, push through your heels to lift your hips up, and then release back down. So slightly shift your body over to your left, and so that's going to get into the paraspinal muscles that run vertically along the left side of your spine. Once you feel like you've done this a few times and those have started to loosen up, you're going to shift your weight over to your right and repeat the exercise. Go ahead and position your foam roller underneath your hips so that you can work into the tensor fasciae lata muscle, or the TFL, as well as the top of your quad. So most of your weight should be supported on your forearms here, and your core should be slightly engaged. And you're going to roll through this area until you find a tight spot, and then try to hold that spot for 30 to 60 seconds before moving on to the next. And finally, I'm going to show you 4 of the best strengthening exercises you can do to fortify your low back and hip muscles. With the resistance band looped just above your knees, prop yourself up onto your forearm, and then press the band away. So if your hip is rolling back like this, you're just going to feel that in your quad. You want to push that hip forward so that it's stacked vertically on top of the other hip, and then go from there. With your heels close to your glutes and a resistance band looped right above your knees, you're going to be squeezing the glutes to come up to the top of the motion. Make sure that you aren't overarching your low back to get there. This should all come from the glutes. And press out against that band as well. Posteriorly, tuck your pelvis and pull your belly button into your spine. From there, keep that engagement as you bring your opposite arm and your opposite leg away from each other. And this is the most advanced version, or one of the most advanced versions of the dead bug. There are regressions available. Without moving your lower body from the mat, you're going to lift up with the upper body. You want to feel all the back muscles engaged. You want to feel your shoulder muscles engaged. And you want to keep a little bit of a slight chin tuck so you're not looking up and extending your neck too far. If you want to make this one a little bit easier, all you need to do is put your hands on the ground in front of you and then use your fingertips to help you guide into this motion. Just use as much pressure as needed to help you get there. And then to make this harder, rotate your arms a little bit towards the outsides, straighten your arms, and lift up. So I've shared some amazing tips and information with you today that should go a long way towards managing your low back pain. If things have progressed too far, you still may need some professional treatment by a chiropractor or a physical therapist, and that's for 2 reasons. Number 1 is that if adhesion has built up through that injury cycle that we talked about, we actually have to break that adhesion and allow it to remodel into more healthy tissue. The second reason is that if muscles have been chronically pulling or tugging on the joints, those joints themselves can become fixated or stuck, and we need a chiropractic adjustment to restore that joint motion. I offer those services in Oakland, California. Oh, and by the way, if you are having any radiating pain or any weakness, tingling, or numbness shooting down your leg, that is something that you want to get checked out by a professional. But if it's mainly like a stiff, tight, achy kind of low back that you're dealing with, and you want to take things into your own hands and help manage it at home, right now head down to the description box. You can click the link for my free ebook download. My Fix Your Working From Home Low Back Pain ebook has my whole at-home system outlined step by step with a complete set of stretching, strengthening, mobility, and self-myofascial release exercises that you need to do to fix your low back pain and get back to living with less pain, more ease, and less frustration. So what do you think? Which one of these steps are you going to try first to get rid of your low back pain? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a like and share it with a friend who may be having a similar issue. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you can do that right over here. And there's other videos right over here that you might be interested in as well. All right, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.